in this internet age of all of this information flying, finding trusted sources of data, finding true sources of data is critical. I don't have to wonder, does this make sense? Is this true? Yep, it's true. Because who did it come from? The government. So I could trust this data. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Fast Forward podcast. We are continuing our series on power. And today I wanted to bring on a special guest to talk about the power of data. We are, of course, inundated with a million sources of information. Social media is constantly bombarding us with stories and numbers and all of this information that we don't know necessarily what to do with it. And so I wanted to bring on someone who specialized in data because I want us to not only be aware of information, but to know what to do with information, because information without a place or a strategy to apply it just makes us overwhelmed. And so I thought that there was no other place to go to than one of the agencies that is probably the most famous for the data that it collects and disseminates throughout our country, and that is the U.S. Census Bureau. So I have with us as a guest today Mr. Larry Carter II with the U.S. Census Bureau. How are you, Larry? It's nice to have you on.
Thank you. I'm amazingly well, and thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about you and your work, and also give us a fun fact. Tell us something about you.
Okay. I am Larry. I've been with the Census Bureau since 2017, and it's been a life-changing experience to work here at the Bureau. Really learning data and how data really shapes the world around us.
Yeah.
A fun fact about me. Uh, I like to renovate houses. Like that's one of the things I really enjoy.
Wow. I, okay, so wait, pause. Tell us a little bit more about that, because that's interesting.
Well, it started out of necessity.
Okay.
2009, I had like a trio. I lost my job,
Good.
bought a car. I bought a house and my car got stolen all like in the same month. So I bought a house for like $10,000 and here in Atlanta, and I was like, I'm going to renovate it so I don't have to worry about, mortgages or anything else. So
Yeah.
I bought a house cash, and then next thing you know, I lost my job. So I guess that was the universe setting me up to win.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, because no mortgage with also no job. We in a good spot.
and since then, I saw the power of like really vision and seeing things, not seeing things as they are, but seeing what's possible.
All right.
And when you see what's possible, there's a power in that
Yeah.
that you can kind of shift your world, shift the universe, really create something new from something that existed. So that's why I enjoy it.
I love that so much because, first of all, and y'all, we didn't plan this. So this is like totally unscripted, this part, because I see that connection with data. Obviously, as an organizational psychologist, I work a lot with data, but I've been doing research globally for like 20 years. And one of the earliest lessons that I learned doing research in undergrad at the University of Michigan is that data doesn't tell the story. Data simply informs the story that you want to tell. And so you have to come into it with the right vision. You have to come into it with the right attitude about what's possible with the data, because if not, you will make that data tell a lie.
Mhm.
And even if it's not a lie in terms of the factual numbers, it's a lie because of the narrative you crafted around the data. And I think that that distinction is so important. And to be honest, probably intimidates a lot of small business owners, because a lot of us may not have had a good relationship with data. A lot of us may not have grown up loving math, loving science, right? Loving the social sciences and all the things that data often informs. So my question to you to start us off would be, how can small business owners improve their relationship with data to grow their companies?
Well, let me share a hack small business owners can use to get, the latest data from the Census Bureau. They don't have to be a statistician. They can just visit census.gov um, and go to libraries and
Mm.
click on visualizations. And this page will lead you to so many infographics and visualizations covering a broad range of topics. They can search by topic, whether it's demographic or uh, economic program. You can
Yeah.
just use the menu and drop down. And then under the topics, you can choose whether you want to do business and economy. There's about 160 different infographics and visualizations that are at your fingertips.
I appreciate that because a lot of times we think of data as just numbers on a spreadsheet, but data should do something. And so the fact that you all have kind of taken that next step to create the visualizations, first of all, let me say this, y'all. That is was probably not new now, but a lot of government agencies have done a lot of modernization to help us take that next step with the visualizations, infographics, the application. Because when I first started doing stuff like this, it was like, no, you download your little CSV file, you got to put it together. I actually had a GIS class in grad school, one of my first master's degrees, and we had to create maps and things like that. And it was so fascinating because I was like, oh, wait, a person does this? Like, I don't know what I thought it was, but to know, to know now that these tools exist is so helpful. So for the small business owners out there, if you think about the tool that Larry just described, let's say you're trying to figure out a new market to expand into. You can use the Census Bureau to go on there and check out demographic information, spreads of where people are, all kinds of stuff. Because if you think about what's asked on the census, that information is going to be populated into these visualizations. And
And
so,
also,
yeah,
not to interrupt you, but
you
because
good. Let's do this.
so like we also have a tool that I always go to is called Census Business Builder, CBB.
Mm.
It's a easy to use. It has menus, search tools. You just select the location where you want to search, and you can look by any type of business that you might have. You use your NICS code, and you can drop down their interactive maps to browse. You can download the data. You can create a full report and download it and then load it into whatever you're doing. So
Wow.
we've made it easier to use. So what you used to have to do, you don't have to do anymore. You can go to Census Business Builder and select your information, and it'll complete like a full workup. So you'll
Wow.
have information about the businesses that you're looking at that's in the area. You'll have how much they make, how much they pay their employees on average,
Mhm.
and then you'll have the demographic data, and all of that is downloadable, and you can just slide it into whatever your presentation is.
Wow.
And not only do we have that, but we also have America Count stories. So those people who are intimidated by numbers, we went ahead and do stories around the releases to kind of give you a more personal approach. It's almost
Wow.
like a blog, reading a blog about the data that's released. So we have several different ways that you can approach it depending on your style and what you prefer to work with.
I love that so much because you're right. For so many small business owners, they need that complete picture. And I just want to say, y'all, because y'all know I talk a lot about times when I've worked for very large companies. A lot of times they have a department who is trying to do that and figure all of that out. So for you to now be able to leverage a tool that's there for you, that's leveling the playing field with growing and scaling your business if you use it right. So check out the Census Business Builder and then also the America Count Stories. Those are two tools that we just gave y'all. That's some cheat code stuff. So just FYI, um, I want to think too about other resources. Obviously for most folks, they might not really think about the census until it's time to take the census. But as a business owner, we can use these tools all the time. What are some of the other more useful resources that business owners can leverage through the Census Bureau?
I think one of our most useful tools is our human capital, right?
Mm.
So people are our tools at the Census Bureau. We have data dissemination specialists who play a vital role in the U.S. Census Bureau. They deal directly with the public, individuals, organizations, government officials, and others to help them understand and work with the data that the Census Bureau collects.
Wow.
This group of people, look, they're public servants. They are spread out through the nation. They do virtual and in person, and most of all, it's all for free. Everything that we do is absolutely free. They'll walk you through, help you find the data that you're looking for. And if a small business owner is more independent and doesn't want to actually uh, tap into a live person, we have Census Academy.
Yeah.
And that's where we have this learning hub for data skills. So you go to census.gov/data/academy, and there you can find resources about a topic.
Wow.
One can find courses or short videos or subject matter experts talking about data topics. And I mean, we call those data gems.
Yeah.
We also have up and coming webinars where you can tune into our webinars. They can join and be a part of the community. It's all on you.
Yeah.
I mean, the beauty of it is these resources are all for free to the
Yeah.
public.
And I want to double click on free because, for like a lot of solopreneurs, folks with small teams, you bootstrapping it. You don't have $50,000-$60,000 to pay a statistician to go looking up random data about some geographic region that you want to expand to, right? So having free resources matters, and it sounds like you all have even created a roadmap and a workflow where people can get to the information they need to make good decisions. I want to challenge everybody who is listening to this, who is gonna watch this either now or in the future. How you leverage resources is just as important as the resources being there. So if the Census Bureau has provided all of this great information, you don't have to try to eat the whole pie in one bite, right? Larry has now named like 7 different things you can use. Grab one, like take one at a time, start to play with it, get used to it, experiment, try different search terms, try different search parameters, and get familiar with it over time. The point is just to get started, right? Data is only as intimidating as the steps that we're willing to take. I didn't learn to be a researcher overnight. Again, I had a 20-year journey with creating and then implementing research projects and then writing about them. Every iteration, it gets better. You learn more, you learn to master it. But I want to challenge the business owners and the business leaders. This is a part of that R&D work in your company. So when you think about research and development, that's a department in your company. And if it's not staffed, guess what? Tag you it. And learning how to use these types of resources, getting familiar, getting comfortable with them, learning really to love them is how you're going to be able to take your business to the next level effectively, but also efficiently. So making the best use of your time. You don't have to go door to door. The Census Bureau already did that for you. There you go. We're making it easy. So, Larry, if you think about it, how have you personally used the power of data to really build communities through your work at the Census Bureau?
My life has been changed in this position. It's really given me great pleasure to work in the Office of Strategic Alliances. We also go by OSA, so I'll use OSA. That's what it stands for, Office of Strategic Alliances. We help pretty much make America work better through data. Together, we harness the power of the Census Bureau's data by co-creating solutions to improve the lives of American people and businesses. We work with partners to increase participation, to raise awareness, and ensure that constituents and customers and stakeholders are represented in vital U.S. Census Bureau household surveys and business surveys. So each person in the audience today, they can make a difference, whether they have a moment to spare or they can do a sustained effort. There's several different things they can do. They can follow the Census Bureau on X, it's called now.
Yes. Yeah. I have to remember it too.
U.S. Census Bureau. And they can stay up on the latest news and different things and contents that we're sharing, because really the way I've been able to harness the data is by sharing it. Giving more people access to data is key, because when you have more people making informed decisions, you have more satisfied people, one, and then two, when people understand why they're filling out surveys, they're more likely to fill out the surveys. So by showing people that the data we collect is useful and rich data that can help build their business or help them make a decision in the future, or even help them by building their communities, because the federal funding follows the count, not the
Yes.
need. So you want to make sure everybody in your community is counted to
Yes.
make sure you have the funding coming to your community to sustain your community. And those are things that people just don't understand or are
Right.
misinformed about.
Yeah.
So that's been one of the biggest and most fulfilling things about the work I do, is like experiencing those aha moments when
Yeah.
somebody realizes like, this is something I've been looking for and it's right here and it's absolutely free.
Yep.
Um, for me, that's the best thing since sliced bread.
I love that so much because you're right. Most of the time when we think of the census, and even growing up, I remember they would talk about it in econ class. And of course, I probably, if I'm about to be 49, I've seen what, like four, yeah, 90, 20, yeah, so I'm like about four censuses that have taken place. And it's usually about schools, federal funding for transportation, but we don't think about it as a business owner. If I'm seeing population shifts, income shifts in the population, even age shifts, right? So let's say when I was growing up, most of the population was working age, which means that they the people could spend the money on my products, my services. Well, now if most of the folks are under 18, I might have to rethink my business. So you're right, we don't always think about how census data can be applied to us as business owners. And as we learn that, sometimes you got to be on the like, what's in it for me type thing. Well, what's in it for you is being able to make better decisions for your business, better decisions for the future of your livelihood. So, for all my folks who run internet based businesses, which is probably going to be almost everybody now, you definitely going to want to get on with the Census Bureau's tools because, like, I live in Metro Atlanta. I don't know what's going on in Boise, Idaho, or Seattle, Washington, right? I don't live there. But the census has made it so that I can find out what's going on there. So if I'm running a Facebook ad or if I'm running an ad on another platform, guess what I could do? Make an informed decision about how much I want to spend that's going to target customers or target buyers in that area. So again, it all fits together. And let me reiterate again, because Larry said the key word is what? Free 99. So this is not something that you're paying a marketing agency or, paying some internet guru, all of a sudden they are expert on it. No, we don't need to do that. We know we talking to the experts because it's what? The Census Bureau. And I think that makes a difference. The last thing I'll say, and please feel free to piggyback off of this point, in this internet age of all of this information flying, finding trusted sources of data, finding true sources of data is critical. And so one of the things that I love so much about how government again has modernized in the last like decade or so is by having these tools. So I don't have to wonder, does this make sense? Is this true? Yep, it's true. Because who did it come from? The government. So I could trust this data versus some random spreadsheet that somebody's like, pay $29, you get access to it. You don't have to write. You don't listen. I've been in business a few years now. I done tracked things, so it's like you want to go places where the information is right. And I'll also say this, these big companies, guess where they're going to get this information? The Census Bureau, other government agencies, they just usually have a department and then they filter it through their own white papers or reports. So all of these like large consultant agencies that turn out white papers that are very useful, don't get me wrong, they're amazing. Usually the sources of their data are these free resources that Larry just told you about. So again, Larry, feel free to piggyback off that if you have a different opinion or
Yes,
something
and
to
I
add.
have another tool. Sorry
Mhm.
to keep throwing tools at you,
No, it's
but
good.
internet businesses. So one that I talk about is my Community Explorer that we have. So basically, that comes from a different. So FEMA sometimes uses this tool because it overlays like the current weather patterns. But you can look at broadband access, you can look at age, you can look at income, you can look at access to healthcare, access to transportation, and access to broadband, which is really
Wow.
important when you're thinking about a business. If it's a computer generated business or you're marketing online and you're marketing to a community who doesn't have access to broadband,
Yeah.
you might want to choose a different strategy. So like you can use that tool and kind of look and see like what's actually happening in that community, and that goes down to the track level that you can kind of see. So that's another tool, because like if I say I might have a medical transportation company, so I might want to see, okay, I see there's a higher population of maybe seniors or individuals with disabilities, and there's not a lot of access to transportation. I might want to target that area because those people are going to have doctor's appointments and they're going to
Exactly,
need to
and they
get
have a need. And
and
then wait to take that to the next level. If that also overlays on not a lot of access to broadband, I know for my marketing budget, I need to allocate more dollars perhaps to maybe commercials on TV or a radio commercial or flyers that I go door to exactly go oh exactly drop them little flyers off of the screen door, right? 'Cause they might be responding to that. Again, that's what we talking about, y'all, with informed decision. Because it doesn't matter how much money you have in your business. I can't stress that enough. It don't matter how much capital you have access to. If you don't have the right strategy for the right market and the right geographic region and the right tools at the right time, you're going to blow it all. I done had moments where my company was balling. And because of a number of factors, it was like the money was just hemorrhaging out because I wasn't necessarily spending smart. I am probably much more effective with my budget now, and it is probably down to maybe 10 to 20% of what I had, right? Even though I know it's a short season, but it's tough. I'm so much smarter with what I'm doing with my company's money now than before that I'm getting way more done. I'm way more innovative. I'm way more efficient because I have the right strategy for the right time, and I'm much more resourceful with how I think about finding who and what I need. So use these free resources, not only just because they're free, though that is a great part of that, but because they're really good. And if you can go straight to the source, anybody who's ever done research, you know, first-hand accounts are the best accounts. That's the best data to use. Well, if you go into the Census Bureau, you're getting it straight from the source because that's exactly what's collecting the data on the street level. Last question I want to ask, because you mentioned the key word, and so I just want to help people understand what that means. You mentioned about census tract. Can you
Mhm.
tell us what is a tract so that people can understand just how important that data is for the decisions that they'll make in their business?
So a census tract is like a smaller pocket, almost like a block or two. So like one or two city blocks. So it goes down to that level on certain information and data. We make sure all of the data is protected. Title 13, all of the identifiable data is washed. So you wouldn't be able to identify anybody's identity. But data that we can share on the track level, we do. So we try to get it down to the smallest level
Yep.
that we possibly can so that it can be as precise as it possibly can for the end user. So a track is like a block or two radius,
Yep.
depending on the size and the city you're in.
Now I want y'all to think about that for a second. If you could make a good decision for your business down to the granularity of knowing the 15 families that live in these buildings or in these houses, do you know how powerful your business could be? You know how fast you could generate revenue to get an ROI on the investments that you make into your business by having that level of granularity? That's invaluable. And so I want us to rethink our relationship with data because good data, is one of the best investments we can ever make in our business because making good decisions that are data informed is how we will get the revenue and how we will get the business sustainability. Larry, thank you so much for being with us here today. Please tell us where we can find you and how can we find the Census Bureau and stay connected.
Yes, you can find the U.S. Census Bureau on all platforms at U.S. Census Bureau, and that's USCENSUSBUREAU. And that's on Instagram, X, as Facebook as well. And for me, I am on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is Larry B. Carter II. I don't think there's many of them with the B. So that kind of distinguishes me from others. So if you have questions, or you can email me at larry.b.carter@census.gov.
And Larry pops up at events and conferences all the time. He is honestly one of the most personable and
You.
welcoming folks I've ever met. So please get connected with him because, again, his entire role is designed to build deeper community and to deepen that relationship between the community and data related to the community. So thank you again so much. All right, y'all, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye, y'all.